What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? This your boy Comedic Energy, and this is Dirty Mouth Radio. Dirty Mouth Radio, produced by Livewire Sound and Entertainment. We got a special guest in the building. A special guest, man. I'm gonna let everybody introduce themselves right now.
It's your girl Golden. It's Sade.
Your boy Creighton. What's up, y'all?
And I'm Ciara.
Oh, Ciara. What's up, girl?
So we got a special guest in the building, Ciara. She's gonna give us some stuff, drop some gems from the legal perspective of everything, man. So let's get right into it. First of all, how's everybody been? What's everybody been up to?
Well, considering we just talked like 5 minutes ago, I think you understand how I'm doing.
Really?
I'm just mentally drained, honestly.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Out sometimes just to, literally breathe and, be okay with what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought about what we talked about last time when you asked if we felt like we were traumatized. Mm-hmm. And reflecting on that, yeah, I really do feel traumatized. I really do. Yeah, so I'm just trying to, deal with it.
I feel you. How about you, Ciara?
Drained. It's draining, especially like with social media and hearing from people like within the profession. It's just draining because it's like the ongoing will of like, when is this gonna stop?
Yeah,
it's draining.
Yeah, I think for me, man, it's more so of like a learning curve or a learning experience. It's just like, this is the first, this has been going on for a minute. And like, it seems like every generation, like we come back to the same point. But like for me, it's more like an understanding of like, okay, so this is what was going on back when our parents or like our grandparents was coming up. Like, this is how this is how this shit was going down. Now, like, seeing it firsthand and having the experience of like a college experience, a college knowledge, and having all the knowledge that I do have, like, what paths can I take or get my fellow comrades to take to make a difference right now? You know what I'm saying? So that maybe the next generation can take our change and even go further. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we combat this? Having to come back to the same experience, because you got to learn from your past experiences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, what can we take out of all of this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Who can do what? Because we need niggas on the front lines pushing up against the police. That shit they got to see it. But we also need the thinkers on the back end to be meeting up. They don't need to be on the street. They need to be in the motherfucking office
planning,
talking it over and planning. You feel me? So where's my role in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's Dirty Mouth's role in that shit? You feel me? So that's how I kind of think about it.
Okay. That makes a lot of
I
sense.
feel like we just got to keep the conversation going. As long as the conversation keeps going, then it'll continue to be an issue. I feel like things happen and the conversation will go for a week or for 2 weeks. And then people are on to the next thing because people let the media control them. And I feel like the solidarity that we see amongst Black people, we have to keep that going because that'll keep the conversation going even beyond this week, next week, and what's to come, because it's not a process that's going to change overnight. It's going to take time, and it's going to take everybody coming together. It's not something that one person can do on their own. It has to keep going.
Right.
Makes sense.
And like Creighton said, I feel like it has to be multi-dimensional. It has to be layered. Mm-hmm. We have to have the people on the front. Mm-hmm. We got to have the business people. We just got to make it a whole movement.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny that you said that because I put up a post this morning and it got a lot of attention, and they were talking about how everybody's talking about the stance we need to take and buy Black, the whole movement that we getting ready to start. But somebody brought up a good point when it came to American Airlines, and they said, well, with American Airlines being worth, what did he say, like 10 billion or something like that, 4 billion I think, with the stocks going down, and the stocks are like around $10 to $12 a share. If every Black person bought like $1,000 worth of stocks in American Airlines, that will actually be controlled by Black people. And I was like, well, damn, that makes a lot of sense. So I kind of put that post up there as a call to action. Like, maybe we should do that. You know, that would make a lot of sense. It's like taking over a business and it being owned majority by black people. That sends a big statement, especially in the aviation industry. You know, it's money all in there. You know, yeah, they tanking because of the COVID, but they still have money. You know, let's not get that twisted.
Right.
So if we take that stance, and a lot of people are actually doing it, man, it's just, that's mind blowing. That's planning right there. You know.
Right. That goes back to what I was saying on the back end. Like, people in rage actually thinking through the scenarios and the process. Like, okay, like what? Like, we obviously need some control. Like, we need to control something, like an asset, something that will last from here on into past and beyond our kids. You know what I'm saying? We need, like, as a community, or as a race, or whatever you want to call it, like, we need an asset, like, even if it's just markers or some shit, like some industry or something that everyone has to keep coming to us for. Because then once you have that,
you got power.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. You've got a seat at the table. You can actually dictate or make decisions, or agree or not agree to whatever the policies and reforms and votes that are going on in the judicial system, or the American government or network.
Yeah. That's powerful.
So that right there is a good ass idea. Like, I want an airplane. Shit.
Man, that's the truth, man. So we got Ciara here. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and your background, Ciara, so the listeners can know. The floor is all yours.
Okay. I am a new attorney. I just passed the February North Carolina bar. I graduated.
Congrats. Yes.
So I'm still wet behind my ears, but I'm fresh out the books. I just graduated from law school in December from Elon Law. And prior to going to Elon, I was at North Carolina A&T, where I received my degree in political science.
All right, now.
Go, girl.
Yeah.
So,
Black
I love
lawyers
my people.
matter. Yeah.
I love my people.
So what's your take on the whole George Floyd situation? Like, your take on it personally and your take on it legally. And, you know, because they could be different. So it's all yours.
Personally, it pisses me off because I see the outrage and I feel and I empathize with the people around me. I feel it different, but it bothers me because I can also see what's to come in 7 to 8 months, 9 months. And so when they first came out with what he was charged with, while everyone was in an uproar because he wasn't charged with murder, I mean, we kind of understood, my friends and I that are within the profession, because with charges, the ultimate goal of a charge is a conviction. You need a charge to stick. And what it really comes down to between the charge for first-degree murder, second-degree murder, Minnesota's third-degree murder, is the intent aspect of the crime. And with this crime, it would have been really hard, I would almost say impossible, for a conviction to stick for first-degree murder, because the prosecution would have had to prove that this officer premeditated and he planned the murder of George Floyd. And so his defense, they would have came out and they would have been able to shoot that down from the very beginning. Like, he never intended to kill this man. He didn't plan it. It wasn't premeditated. And that would have made the charge not stick. It would have turned into him not being convicted. With them charging with third-degree murder, it's a better chance of him getting a conviction. However, it's still, with the justice system just being what it is and being as disgusting as it is, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't convicted. Even the way they wrote out the criminal complaint, which is it's not determinative at trial, but it kind of outlines like what their case is going to look like, how the prosecution is going to present this case. Even the things that they're saying and the things they're failing to say in the criminal complaint, it just makes me weary and nervous of what's to come in 7 to 8 months. And that's why I say the conversation has to keep going, because people have to follow this trial and they have to follow what happens, because you can't just be mad right now, because they'll make an arrest and they'll let these good boys go home in 2 weeks when they think that people have forgotten. But if people keep talking about it and they force them, we need a conviction. We don't just want them charged. We want them convicted. Then I think that's when the wheel will start to spin. Because we've seen Cosby arrested before. We've seen them be indicted. And we've seen them not go to jail. We've seen them go to jail for 10 years versus life when African Americans, if you kill someone, you're going to jail forever. You just know it's going to happen. These are slaps on the wrist. A lot of them are getting away with no time at all. And that's the part that scares me with what's to come.
So my question with it is, because I heard something that you said, is third degree murder, is that something that is used throughout all the states, or is that okay?
North Carolina, I had to research third degree murder when this came out, because North Carolina we don't even have that. We have first and second degree murder, and then manslaughter. You go to voluntary and involuntary manslaughter. With Minnesota, they have this wiggle room, and it's basically like a manslaughter charge.
That's what I thought.
But they call it third degree murder. Yeah, it all comes down to the intent. Their third degree murder is equivalent, from my understanding of their law, to what our involuntary manslaughter would be.
And what would that bring?
So whether they intended for the person to die or not, whether they intended to kill him. And in Minnesota, the charge only carries 25 years, the maximum.
Wow.
For him, if he's never been in trouble, or if he's a good guy, good pass, he may get off of probation. He may not do no jail time. So
that's bullshit. That's that bullshit.
Yeah. So even with all the evidence showing, I mean, I understand the premeditated murder concept, because it's kind of hard to show evidence of premeditated murder in that scenario, because he would have to actually have a letter written or some type of will or something.
Just kind of planned it out that he's
just saying or even an interaction, right, with this guy that would promote him or lead him up to this point. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. So with even beyond the premeditated murder, is there a place in the law or something with all the evidence of like him visually being seen choking this man or sitting on this man's back or watching him or even listening to him beg for help, that doesn't help convict the conviction?
Well, I mean, that's the beauty in democracy, because ultimately it comes down to the judge and the jury. But you got to remember, when you're presenting these cases to the judge and the jury, who's presenting them? If you have a DA who already, when this is fresh, this case is new, they're already coming out in the complaint and they're failing to mention how George Floyd was screaming for his mother's help and how he was telling them he couldn't breathe. None of this stuff is mentioned in the criminal complaint. So when they're already coming out swinging like that, and when they have the coroner's office coming out saying that the death was not from strangulation, you can already kind of see where these DAs are going with the case. If the DAs are not pushing it, they're the one that's going to try the case in front of the jury. If already right now they're not outraged, they're not going to be mad in 8 months, 9 months, a year when this case comes to trial. People don't realize the justice system is really slow. Like, when I tell you, you can sit for 18 months before they even look at your things, like, it's very slow. And so it'll be time before this comes to court. So if this is already how they're moving right now, they're not going to give a damn when time passes. And when everybody stops caring, they're really not going to care.
So they're expecting, they're kind of expecting that.
Okay, so let me ask you something. How can this get pushed to a federal charge, like what about? I was just thinking, I just lost my train of thought. Civil rights, like you know what I'm trying to say.
Supreme Court.
It would have to. A hate crime. That's what I'm trying to say. It would have to be a civil suit. Yeah, they would have to try it as a civil suit and not a criminal suit. So because the crime is committed in Minnesota state law is going to govern the actual crime for him to be criminally prosecuted. If the family does decide to sue the officer for a hate crime or sue the police department, that'll be a civil lawsuit. It's two different avenues. You have criminal law and you have civil law.
Yeah.
So what instance would make like the FBI come in? Like, that's what I'm trying to get into it, like, and make it federal.
So you mean like Supreme Court?
No. Yeah, like they were actually moving from a
state to a federal review, pretty much. Okay. It's investigation.
Okay, if they were to try it under the state court, in the state court, they get a judgment that they don't like. So let's say George Floyd's family loses, then at that point they may be able to appeal it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can decide whether or not they want to hear the case. There are times where they leave state court alone and let states deal with state problems, but the feds will take a case, or under the Constitution, under the Supreme Court, you can try a case. If you take it to the highest state court and you get an answer that you don't like or that you don't think is fair, you can't appeal it anymore because you've taken it to the highest state court. Then that's when you will file to try to get it heard before the Supreme Court, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Reminds me of Just Mercy, how they tried it in civil once he wasn't getting his going through. Okay.
That's a really good movie. That's a good reference, too.
Which movie was that?
Just Mercy.
Oh, okay.
Things going on where one said it wasn't from asphyxiation, and then Floyd's family came with another coroner and they said it was. How did that? Because I remember you saying that kind of gives an idea of how the case will go, because they have their coroner saying he didn't die from that, and does it boil down to who the judge may like, or whatever the case may be?
It comes down to the judge and the jury. So who does the jury believe? What does the jury believe? Do they believe this autopsy report? Because both sides can bring in their people and say, well, we conducted the autopsy. But with the state case, see, George's family is only going to be able to be heard to an extent when they're suing in state court, because it's really it's Minnesota who's trying the case. The state is really the opposing side.
Yeah.
In order for his family to sue the officer, that's a civil suit. So when you do criminal is going to be the state versus the defendant. Civil is going to be plaintiff versus defendant. So that's when you will put George Floyd's family, his estate, up against the officer. It won't be at the state level trial. You get what I'm saying? The state is like the voice for the people. Yeah. That's why it's fucked up when the state is fucked up, because if they're not a good voice for the people, what are you supposed to do?
It matters what kind of the DA.
Exactly.
Damn.
That's why. But I thought they switched. I thought they switched the district attorney that they had at first to somebody that was better.
I've heard mixed things about the DA that's going to be trying this case. I wouldn't want to speak on them professionally, but I've heard mixed reviews. First I heard that it was a white guy, then I heard it was an African-American woman, but then I heard that she was a Trump supporter. I've just been hearing mixed things about the DA, so I don't even.
Damn, and you can't pick the DA. They picking for you.
DAs are like, it's hired. They're hired by the government, basically.
That's crazy.
So, but when they switch them, it's because there's a conflict of interest, right?
Right, that it can be. So the way, so it's a head DA. Every county has a head DA, and then it has ADAs that work under them, assistant district attorney. Yeah. So it's multiple. Every state has multiple DAs. Like, if I wanted to, I could go be. Even though I just graduated, I could go be a DA next week. I just don't want to do that personally. So yeah.
So now I keep hearing that there's another case going on with the state versus the police department.
I recently just heard about that. I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, that the state is going to file charges against the police department.
How do you do
that,
though?
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would think that they would be immune from being sued, but I'm not really sure. We were taught that under the 11th Amendment that usually state offices like that are immune from being sued. But I guess because they're being sued by the state, I'm not sure. I don't understand how they wouldn't be on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh,
I'm not sure. I was interested to see how that's going to turn out as well.
Because it wasn't. It's not like it was a privatized police. I mean, do they have privatized police departments?
I don't believe so.
Everybody
this was a state. So like, if you were like a constable or something, is that still considered like a state police, or is that a different police?
It probably wouldn't fall under the jurisdiction of a state police, but as far as you're acting as a police, it would be certain rules that you have to follow because you're functioning as an officer. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Okay, so
like if you're acting, even if you're not a state actor, if you're doing the things that a state actor does, they could hold you to that same standard because you're acting as a state actor.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and with the whole case, I did see that the lawyer did try to push for premeditated murder. I did see that 3 days ago. So I'm thinking that must be getting ready to change.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too because, like, they said that they used to work together at the same club. I don't know if they had any communication back then, if they even really knew each other back then. Mm-hmm. And also with the time limit that he had on his neck, like, when does it go from, premeditated? Like, how does it not go to premeditated because he was there so long? I guess that's what I'm
in my opinion, that's what I think it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to the time factor. And if it's a good DA that tries the case, she'll throw all of those facts in. Like, he worked at the club with him. He knew him. He heard him. He said he couldn't breathe. He had his knee on there for 8 minutes. It'll come down to the time. But if it's a good defense attorney, they'll come in and say he was stealing. He was resisting arrest. He was over 200 pounds. They had to do what they had to do to hold him down. And it'll come down to whether on the jury you believe the time. It comes down to the time. And that's the most compelling part of the case. Whether or not that was enough time for him to know in his mind, I'm geared to kill this man, or whether it was short enough that he did not realize that he was actually going to die.
It's true, like, when people, because a lot of people don't realize, but when you resist an arrest, it's not just you pulling away. It could be you saying stop. Is there many, like, factors where people don't even think of?
With resist, I've seen people say, excuse me, you're resisting. It's all down to the officer's discretion. And that's why it's so corrupt, because it's like an officer can say that anything happened. Yeah. Anything. If they ask you your name and you don't want to give them your name, they could say you're resisting because you didn't tell them your name. You know what I'm saying? So it all comes down to fact by fact basis, but it just gives the officers a lot of room for discretion for them to abuse their discretion. And a lot of them do.
A lot of power control.
Yes, absolutely.
There's so many wiggle room as far as, well, this is what happened. And that's probably why it's so hard for them to be charged, honestly.
Absolutely. The cops, they have way too much authority. Mm-hmm. Way too much. They lie. The cops lie more than my clients. I know that.
Damn.
They lie so much. And it's like, they will sit there and tell you a both face. Like, sir, did you do this report or did your partner write this report? Well, my partner wrote it, but no, that's a lie. You're lying. Oh, wow. They lied to us. They lied to people on the street. Cops lie, and they're allowed to lie.
And that's what I was going to say. They're not held accountable when they do lie.
They're allowed to lie.
That is crazy as hell, man.
They are allowed to lie.
So, in what kind of way? Like, what would be like the ultimate sweep that could combat this whole case? Like, what would be the thing that could change everything around to actually get these guys or move these guys towards actually being convicted?
In my opinion, ultimate sweep, it would have to be a badass prosecutor that comes out and tries this case. I mean, fact by fact, word by word. They would have to go in that courtroom and make everybody on that jury panel feel George Floyd. Those last words he gave, when he was calling his mother's name, if he got a good ass prosecutor that go in the courtroom and make those people on the jury feel that, give them chills, that's the kind of thing. Charge those other officers with aiding and abetting a crime because they stood there and they watched him. They even in the complaint, they have defenses where they can get off, but you have to move the people's emotions to make them understand, like, this man, no matter how you slice it, dice it, he murdered them. There are a lot of people out there that does not think he's murdered them. I don't know if you see the post going around, but there's like something where white people are putting their knee in somebody else's neck and they're timing and they didn't die. There are a lot of people that they're believing that he had underlying health conditions and problems with drugs and alcohol abuse, whatever.
So now
So it comes down to a bad DA, and it also comes down to jury selection because basically the jury has to feel compelled, and I wonder what the population like is in Minnesota to get like a jury that would come.
I said, I wonder the same thing, because that's going to be very important. But that's when the rest of us is important, because we don't know who's going to be sitting on the jury. So they might scroll past your Instagram today and get picked for jury tomorrow. There's not going to be anybody that can sit in that box and say they haven't heard about this case. And so if you move people emotionally enough now when they get into there for jury selection, they'll ask them, have you seen anything? Do you think you'll be able to make an unbiased opinion? You know, people are going to always say, of course I can, of course I can.
Yeah.
But human emotion is human emotion.
Exactly.
If you've seen these pictures and these videos, it's going to make you feel away. And so that's why you got to keep the conversation going.
So with the selection of the jury, why is there no standard with diversity when it comes to these juries? I don't, when they pick them, why is it always all white? You know?
What I was gonna say is, because you're probably gonna say the same thing too, because it's like they do it like for their right. Is that what it's called? I get to pick who I want to pick, and then you get to pick who you want to pick, and of course you're gonna pick somebody that gonna be on your side, and then I get to pick somebody that's gonna be on my side.
During that time of jury selection is a very long process. I would say on the first day, like big trials, good attorneys, they really take their time with jury selection, because you're allowed to ask the jury any questions. And if they answer a question in a way that you don't like, you're allowed to strike them and excuse them from serving. For instance, you can say, is anybody on this jury, is any of your family members a police officer? If they say yes, you can go to them. Juror number 15, who in your family is a police officer? They say, oh, my husband's brother. Do you have a close relationship with him? Yes. Does he talk to you about his job? Yes. What does he say? You're allowed to go one-on-one with jurors like that. And when you get to asking them a question, you could decide whether you want to keep them or strike them. You can strike a juror for anything except for their race. But if you ask them a series of questions, you can strike them because I don't like the way they answer this question. No, I'm really striking them because they're black.
Exactly. Damn, there's so many underhanded tactics with that shit. It's like politics, man. God damn.
It's nasty.
It's a game. It's a game.
So as the people, are you allowed to make conference or contact with the actual? I guess it would be the DA, because the DA is the one presenting the case, and the defender is the one defending the state, right?
Right. Once the trial begins, if you see any of your jury members in the elevator, on the sidewalk, you have to literally act like you don't even, you never seen it before.
Yeah.
And
I've been in the elevator with jurors before, and you just look the other way. They're not allowed to talk to the DAs or the defense attorneys.
And even the people, like not the jurors or whatever, but just like regular people, like out in the community who just want to contact him and kind of talk to him or whatever.
Contact the DA?
Yeah.
You can always, people write letters to the DA, people email the DA. I don't know if you guys have seen those phone numbers for the DAs in Minnesota, but you can text them. Yeah, when things like this start happening, their information gets out there, and you can find a way to contact your local DA. A lot of times, all you gotta do is drive down to the courthouse. You'll catch them walking to their car at some point.
Wow. I wonder if people actually know that and are actually trying to communicate to the DAs before it even gets.
Sure, they are. I have seen a lot of resources online of ways to text and to email these DAs to petition for them to do something.
But I mean, how effective is that?
I mean, personally, I would say what people are doing is working, because, I mean, they did arrest the cop. It's a start. I feel like if they keep tearing that shit up, they're going to keep arresting people, and it may only work for now. But listen, if it's going to work for now, it's positive for the system ultimately at the end of the day. I saw something yesterday that said this was the first time that all 50 states are protesting. People are talking. These companies is coming out. I don't know if y'all saw Ben and Jerry's statement. They coming out. I don't know if you saw Apple Music yesterday. These companies are talking. It's getting this is the most I've seen the conversation go. Because I think black people are really fed up. Yeah. And we got time right now.
I think because we've been in the house quarantine too. I think a lot of people are like,
time.
Tired. Like, I'm tired now.
Yeah. That is.
I got a question about looting. Like, what are the charges? Because, now you got all people rioting or whatever, which I think it's a lot of pink people doing the rioting. Because we black don't burn things. Okay, we make
Black people don't want to go to jail. Black people know we going to jail. We ain't trying to go to jail. Personally, with the looting, as far as charges is concerned, it's going to vary on state to state basis. A lot of places where you start getting more so up north, a lot of those charges will probably get dropped. You start getting closer down south, depending on what you did, how you did it, how much proof they have, charges are going to stick. Personally, with the looting, I don't think it's Black people. I think, and I could be a conspiracy theorist sometimes, but I think that because of the election coming up, I think these are Trump's people.
Yep.
They're going out here and they are tearing everything up. I think yesterday, that Blackout Tuesday, while it was nice, I think that was also his social media people that did that to try to silence voters and try to make us be quiet on social media yesterday so that people wouldn't vote, so that people could stop seeing the protests. It's a lot of things that's weird that's going on. Like, I've had plenty of friends that are out there protesting. They're telling me, like, stories like, no, I've seen this with my own two eyes. Like, these cops are corrupt. They're out here starting things, and then we're seeing them hanging out with the cops around the corner. Those are their friends. And so it's things like that's happening. That's like this looting. I really don't think it's our community.
And it's kind of discrediting the whole movement.
Organized chaos, you know. They just trying to navigate the narratives and the ideas and the ideologies and the thought process behind everything. So because we just posted something the other day showing police, 2 cops pulling bricks out of the trunk of their pickup truck. And some white people actually caught it on camera where they were in the alley pulling bricks out of their trunk. You know, you couldn't see their license plate. All you saw was their car number or whatever. But, we put it out there just so more people could see it so they could actually see. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to do nothing. They probably be like, oh, yeah, they were just pulling out bricks because they were going to do something later for work. But, but I mean, I was talking to Comedic Energy about the whole blackout thing yesterday, and he gave me a point of view, but my point of view was just like, if we keep posting up black images, then we see nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't show what's going on. They need to see it continuously every single day so they understand that this is what we see every day. How we tear your shit up and we come and we destroy stuff and people are angry and stuff. This is how we feel every day. So y'all need to see our internal rage externally. All this black pictures and shit. I don't want to mess up your career by saying F that, but I'm
no, fuck that.
F that. Like, y'all don't need to see that. That's the same as me putting up a white background and saying, white power. No, y'all motherfuckers need to see that these police is punching people in the face that's just standing there with their hands up. All this black with George Floyd's face on that shit. Nah, man, like, that's cool. But y'all need to see the action,
I agree.
Yeah. Time to take it a step further.
Speaking of that, with the blackout, as far as not spending money on a certain day, and somebody else said something about it, and I kind of agree with it too. It's like, okay, so you're not gonna spend money on that day, but you're gonna spend money previously so that you don't have to spend money on.
Exactly. That was the first thing I said. Yeah.
That's not the way to do it. I feel like
it's not, but I think that's how people will do it.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen. But I'm saying, as far as the one day people not spending, that's not the way to do it. And that's what made me sad about a lot of these celebrities, because all it takes is one celebrity to come out and really organize something like, okay, for 7 whole days, we not shopping at Walmart. If you black for 7 days, don't shop at Walmart. If you black for 7 days, don't get gas from Shell. 7 days. You got to hit these people hard one time, hit them one at a time, get their respect. And that's how you will them in little by little, piece by piece. One day is not good enough. They're going to say, okay, you sitting out this day, you'll be back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. They can prep for that financially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to like what Comedic Energy was saying last episode too. A little bit of what everybody's saying, but like we need some protection. Like we need people who are developed, like we need something of their interest. Like we need to basically take something hostage that we own or we have, and hold it hostage, and tell them like, if we don't get these things, then y'all won't see this ever again. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest thing that we have is ourselves. We are the asset. We are the resource. You know what I'm saying? We consistently giving out all the time, and they're always taking. And when they feel like it, they take more. You know what I'm saying? So if we had like a way to protect ourselves, or some type of statutes or laws or things that we had just, set up, took back our monies or whatever, and told them like, this is what we want. This is our list of things that we want. These are our demands and shit. Y'all not gonna see a fucking whatever we do. We not flying your planes. We not we not buying your cars. We not, all of that shit.
So the only thing I can see in that realm, what you're speaking of, Cray-Newt, will be entertainment. So basically, that would have to be the athletes or the musicians saying, "Hey, we're not going to play anymore until XYZ gonna happen." Which is going.
I see. It might be. It might go further than that though, because listen to what you just said, Cray. The thing that we might really need to hold accountable or hold hostage is our buying power. That's the key thing that they always go for. Like everybody always says, they don't give a damn about us. They give a damn about our money. So if we hold our buying power hostage and only use it for the stuff that looks like us, they'll fall to their knees because they won't make it financially. You get what I'm saying? Like when they look at these reports, they look at demographic. And you already know when it comes to certain things like clothing and things like that, we have the biggest percentage of buying power because that's what we like to buy. So if we stop doing that shit, how the hell can they survive? So if we take back our buying power and couple that with athletes taking a stand and things like that, dog, it'll change in no time. It really would.
So I got a question. Okay, would it be possible if the black community could come up with their own laws governing themselves and actually present them to the courts? Is that even possible?
No. 5% of lawyers in America and the system are black.
Wow.
5%.
Damn.
Are you serious?
2% are black women.
What?
So take those numbers.
That's crazy.
Sit back and think about it. You talk about a war. It's too many black people who in their mind, they going. That white man got their mind. So for you to say like, oh, black, it's so, and black people, like, this is the one thing that I wish that we could really get better at. We don't really know how to come together. So even with now, like, okay, so I didn't really, the Blackout Tuesday thing, I didn't really think it was a good idea. I thought people should be talking about things, but I never went on my platform and said anything bad about it because at the end of the day, there were black people that were coming together to participate. And so when you're talking about a whole new system of laws, you would really have to have everybody on one accord. We would need like Jay-Z would probably have to be the president and everybody have to listen to Jay-Z, but everybody don't want to listen to Jay-Z. It would have to be one person, you know what I'm saying? It have to be one person that people really, really listen to. And when I think about our African-American community, I can't think of one person that have that much influence and that much power over black people because I know black people want to do what they want to do.
Or that much responsibility, that much responsibility or common sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So that would just be so difficult. And America will probably look back at us and be like, are y'all kidding? This is our government, our system.
And I guess that's why it goes back to like why they killed like people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, because these were people.
They would have been able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kill off the leaders.
Especially at this point in time, they would have been like what, like 50 some years, like how old would they would have been? Maybe like 70, 60 or something like that?
Yeah, it would have been 70s, maybe 80s.
They would have been definitely on the common ground of these old ass motherfuckers that's sitting at the judicial courts and telling motherfuckers what to do.
Maybe they gave their kids, the grandkids, the great grandkids, they would have get them all the power to keep that going, the momentum that they had at the age when they were killed.
So I got a question too. How likely is it to start changing like the laws of the police? Like, who do you talk to as far as because, when police officers do get called or they do get charged, sometimes they're able to go to different counties, different states, and still be police officers. So
from my understanding of, because now people are starting to get an uproar about defunding the police department altogether. So it's like if you take the money out of it, they won't be able to, operate in their function. The only thing that concerns me about that is while people hate the police right now, they like to call them if they get into a problem. So I feel like as a community, we would have to come up with a system. We're not calling 911, so who we gonna call?
Yeah.
That's when it would take coming together to figure that out. Because as far as changing the laws for the cops, there are too many people that don't want them to change for us to be able to change them. So it's almost like, to me, we have to do our own thing. And we really want to see something different. But that means totally doing away with them, defunding them, making sure. But with that comes not calling them when you have an emergency or when something goes wrong. You're not going to them.
Also with that, Sade, is not just the regular law that regulates them. They also have their own culture, which they live by. They have their own code, is what I'm trying to say. So that's what they mostly live off. So I don't know how you would change that.
Well, I'm saying these people that we electing, like, they can't revisit this shit.
But like our senators and stuff.
No, but I'm saying like even though there is like written laws on the book, they live by their own code. You feel what I'm saying?
You talking about like that thin blue line of
right? Yeah. It's like, it doesn't even matter which written. They got their own code,
their own way of thinking. When she was
they cover for each other, and you know, all that shit.
Shit like that slowly changes.
That's how they go into the county next door to get a job, because their homeboy Jimmy up the street, 20 miles up the road, he got a deputy position for him waiting. So what they gonna do?
Bullshit, man. Boy, that's that bullshit.
Oh, it's nasty. It's nasty.
Wow.
Damn. So go ahead, Craig. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro. I was gonna say something else.
So the other topic that I really wanted to talk about was being a gun owner, right? So what was it? What was the Breonna Taylor case? Was that when the guy shot the officers?
No knock.
He walked in a house. Yeah,
with a no knock warrant.
Yeah. Now, how does that work when you're a gun owner and and no knock warrants? Because if somebody's coming in your house and they doing a no knock warrant and it's the wrong house and you a gun owner and you start shooting, who's at fault here?
They entered the wrong house. With the no knock warrant, you have to have a reason to enter the house. It have to be like, okay, so it's basically, if a cop enters without a warrant, anything that they find or like anything that comes out of that is illegal, because there's an illegal search. You're not supposed to be in anybody's reasonable expectation of privacy without permission under the law. There is a list of exceptions where a cop can violate somebody's privacy. However, with the no knock warrant, unless it's like an exigent circumstances, meaning like they're chasing them down or something, they had no business to carry out that warrant in the middle of the night like that. If she was in the house sleeping, they had no business entering the house. And then for them to arrest the boyfriend after he shot, when they entered the wrong house in the middle of the night.
Come on. I know I'm blasting. I'm blasting.
That don't even sound right.
Yeah. I don't.
My house, middle of the night. How that work?
Fine with the no knock warrant. You're not supposed to go in the middle of the night, or
they usually, almost always, warrants are carried out when it's light outside, unless there is a reason that has to be carried out at a different time of night, and that means that it cannot wait. More than likely, they'll wait to the daytime. Not only for the safety of not really for the safety of the person, but more so for the safety of the officers. It's safer for officers to enter anybody's premises in the daytime versus in the middle of the night.
At midnight. They start, and look at they got shot at.
It would have to be a reason, like a serious reason why they have to enter in the middle of the night versus coming back in the middle of the day.
Oh my goodness!
So with that case, what happened with that case? Did he get convicted? Like what was the verdict?
No, they let him go.
Yeah, they let him go.
Yeah,
because somebody was fighting for him. I forgot which was it.
But they have
Go ahead, Ciara. What's that?
They didn't charge those cops though. They let the guy go, but no cops have been charged. Yeah.
Oh, that's messed up.
They're trying to get charged right now because they didn't.
Right.
But the cops killed his girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they try to make it sound like the boyfriend killed her.
No,
that's not what happened.
I think he must have shot back at the police.
What happened was he shot first, and they're saying that's what warrants them to shoot. That's what they was saying.
Which is bull. I mean, I
You're in
wouldn't
my
even say
house?
that's bullshit. Yeah, you in my damn house. I am gonna shoot first. I'm gonna
But
try
he
my
only
best to be
shot
the
one
first to
time
shoot.
though. He only shot one time, and they shot over 8 times. Cause she got shot 8 times, and I'm sure they let her.
So, as being in the legal profession, what do you see with that case? Like, with we won't have to actually say it's that one because he got free, but in a different situation, how would that go legally? If if they barge up in there and somebody shoots and they shoot back and somebody does get killed, how?
So you always gonna have both sides, both arguments.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna have the state, who the cops, they're gonna argue whoever they was looking for, the guy they was looking for. They're gonna say we had to get our hands on him right then and there. We missed the address by a door. It wasn't that far off, because there are times where, let's say they say it's two apartments and you enter the one on the left instead of one on the right. That could be seen as a small error, and the things you find as a result of that search may come in. It's just be up for the lawyers to argue it in court. They'll say, I just missed it by a door, but the stuff that I was looking for was on the other side of the other door. I just missed it. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to argue that they made a small mistake, a small error. That's not how it's supposed to go. But of course, the defense is going to argue, no, this was the wrong house. Exactly. They came in, it was the middle of the night. And then again, it'll be left up to, because of democracy, it'll be left up to the judge and jury to decide.
And the police don't need, if they're gonna commit a warrant or a no-knock warrant, they don't need like supervision when they're going in or they're performing these warrants or whatever. They don't have to have anybody watching them do it.
They watch each other. Those
right.
cops.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Damn.
They watch. I watched so many body cam videos where I'm like, half the time they don't even know what the hell they doing. They just be going in there playing off each other. They be scared too. Like, they don't.
Are you serious?
I can see that. I can see them being scared trying to do it and then messing up and doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's when that fight or flight comes into play.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man. I just.
So it's no way.
It makes you feel defeated at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was gonna say? So where do
and there will be change, because I think everybody's upset at this point to have all 50 states and even different countries coming together. I think as a whole and collectively, I think everybody is upset, but at the same time, you feel defeated because it's like they always gonna take up for each other. These laws probably change.
You gotta feel defeated, but you gotta keep going. So and then you gotta start completely broadening your mind. And mine so far goes to, like, I'm looking at different ways. So you pay your money here, and then you protest here, and then you watch the cases. You keep emailing these DAs here. Then you got a little niece who likes to argue, so you get her involved in the law, so maybe she could be a lawyer. And then you got your cousin who's in high school, well, maybe she would be a good judge. You know, you push it different ways, or like a good activist, or somebody that could do good for their community. And then before you know it, we raise up a community, and then we like, oh shit, we got one too. You know what I'm saying? 5% turning to 20%. And imagine, like, Black people, we don't need 50%. We don't even really need 40. But if we get a strong 20% in that courtroom, what you gonna be able to do with us? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's only but so much you can do with Black people. We don't need many. We just need more than what we have now. And then it's when I think things will start to really change.
Damn.
But you're seeing more of it now. Like, I see a lot more of it. It's a lot more people that's going to law school, medical school. Black people are doing really, really well for themselves. Entrepreneurship, things like that. So it's only a matter of time. And Black people, they're not putting up with that shit now. So I feel defeated some days, but a lot of days I don't. Because I'm like, if we do this thing right, if we really keep this ball going, like, it don't have to end like this.
Yeah.
We are a lot more smarter and equipped than our ancestors were. We have a lot more than they had.
Man.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, man.
That's true.
My goodness.
It's just very catastrophic and like even diabolical at some point. Yeah. You know, you just look at how they planning it, and it just like a lot. You know, you see it and you know that it's organized and you know what's happening, but you know that the masses are just gonna, you know, take take it and twist it because they want to believe something else. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, you think about it, you hearing all this information, you like, well, damn, how do you beat these motherfuckers? Like, you gotta destroy shit, you know, because you can't, you know, it's like you can't, like, you gotta destroy shit because.
And we got to stop with the emotions, like going in stuff with emotions.
Yeah.
Emotion trying to attack, that don't work.
Yeah. That's true.
Because now go ahead, baby.
I was just gonna say that's why it's so important that once the emotions die down, people still like make it a part of their life. You gotta make it part of your lifestyle. Like you gotta keep talk about it with someone, and keep talking. Especially this year, would it be an election year? Oh, millennials are scaring me. We gotta keep talking about it.
That's the thing we were talking about. I brought it up to Kinetic about making sure everybody is registered to vote. That age bracket where it's 18 to like 30. You gotta. They don't. You know, at this point, they feel defeated. And it's like the cops ain't gonna do nothing. So it's just like they don't feel like it's important to vote. But we, as the older generation of them, got to make sure they're registered to vote.
You gotta push it on them. That's the only way that something's gonna happen. Because if this fool get reelected, oh my God, he gonna try to change the Constitution.
Yeah,
I believe. Because if not, he's gonna go to prison.
Does he have that power?
Yeah.
Does he have power to do that?
He got a lot of people working up under him.
I was about to say a lot of people agree with him.
So like even because he has to come up with a veto and it has to be passed by the other two dominating forces and shit.
House and the Senate.
So I guess you're right. With people working under him in different areas, like the judicial system, and you know what I'm saying, he could probably pass a veto or get a veto or not veto, whatever.
And that's why the primaries are so important, because the Republican states, they're going to rock with him. The Democrat states, they're going not fuck with him. That's why somebody better tell Biden make Cuomo his running mate if he's smart. But we'll see.
He definitely needs Cuomo.
He needs Cuomo.
His ass don't need to be passing no damn bills with all of his goddamn insufficient funds that he got in his motherfucking bank account and shit.
Right.
Damn, he corrupting his own hotels and shit. Why the hell is he running the damn state? He can't even keep people in a hotel, and you pay for that shit.
Now, my thing with that is, and not to really get off topic, but being a president, isn't that a contradiction? I thought you can't run your businesses while you're in the seat of a president.
Oh, but what he did was he said that his family is running it, his kids.
Oh, that's bullshit.
So it's not him.
Donald Trump does some illegal things that it's like really crazy to wrap your head around it.
That's not a conflict of interest, though.
That's what I thought.
Is.
Yeah,
it is.
Absolutely.
Constitution.
Wow,
that's some bullshit.
That is.
God damn.
Bullshit.
Motherfucking damn it, Nixon. Nah. It's your fucking fault. Nah, but that's crazy, man. That's crazy. This dude. So whatever happened with? Okay, since we on the path of like law and judicial and all that in courts, what happened with this man's case with the FBI? What happened to that? That just disappeared. Like coronavirus happened, and then it just was like, oh, he's not being prosecuted or anything anymore.
You talking about Trump's case?
You talking about Donald Trump?
I'm talking about Trump. Like he was supposed to be getting removed. What's it called? Impeached. Yeah. What happened with that?
They didn't vote him out. He didn't. The votes didn't. When they took it to the House and the Senate, they didn't pass it.
That's crazy as hell.
Yeah.
Because I never heard. I don't remember hearing too much about it or anybody being upset about it.
Yeah. We were upset. I remember we were upset about it, but then, like you said, then something else dumb happened, and then the coronavirus happened.
Wow. What'd you say, Sade? You were saying something.
No, impeach is just kind of like getting arrested, but you got to be convicted and actually charged with it. Just because you're impeached don't mean you're going to get out.
So my man Bill Clinton can get impeached I gotta remember who's on this shit. I gotta remember who's on here. I'm sorry.
Bill's a wild boy though.
He got impeached, but he didn't get convicted.
Yeah.
But his ass wasn't sitting in the office, was he?
Yes.
Yeah, he was still in there.
He was still moving shit?
Yeah.
He didn't get removed.
He didn't get removed.
It's some shit.
I think everybody should watch the Jeffrey Epstein documentary on Netflix.
The which one?
What documentary?
Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it.
I heard a lot about it. Yeah.
So the next time a MF will come up to me and be like, "Yeah, we about to fire you and shit," I'm be like, "Well, due to in the impeachment clause, it says that I can still be active and make money while you guys are trying to get rid of me."
Get out.
You have to go to the court and actually present a case, and if they vote that I can stay, then fuck you guys.
Well, you let us know how that turns out.
That's bullshit. Why can't I have that right? That's some shit right there. Come on now. That's a job, dog. They basically said your ass is about to get fired, and then they like, oh nah, never mind, we don't want to fire you no more. But while we checking to see if we want to fire you or not, you can still work.
That's crazy. That's crazy as hell. Yeah. It boggles my mind, man. But at this point, Ciara, I'm gonna let you get your shout outs in, your Instagram handles, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
You can follow me on Instagram at Ciara, Ciara, Dom, DOM, 3 eyes, I. And that's pretty much the only social media outlet you can catch me on. Mm-hmm. Everybody donate. Keep talking about it. Keep the movement going. If they're protesting, put on a mask and protest. Don't go out there with no mask. Corona's still out there. They trying to wipe us out little by little. They trying to distract us. Stay focused. Stay woke. Go vote. Make sure you register to vote for your primaries and for the election in November. Get out there and make it happen. Let's change the world.
And for all the peoples who are looking for a lawyer, how would they be able to find you, or like what do you do as far as like lawyers are concerned?
Right now we're out because court is closed until July 1st. Starting in July, I will be bringing my talents back to Charlotte as a public defender. So if you need law services downtown, getting some criminal trouble, let me know. Even beyond that, if you just have questions, if you a teenager or a college student in school, please hit me up. We'll work it out. Let's do this together.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah. Stamped and approved, man. Yeah,
and your full name again?
Ciara Moore.
Yeah.
Ciara Moore. All right.
Y'all hear that? Out there in Charlotte, y'all be out there fucking up. You know who you can call.
Oh man, well this was
don't call her with that bullshit, baby. She don't be fighting real shit. So shit.
Oh shoot. Well, this is a great episode, man. I appreciate you coming out. This was a special edition episode.
Problem. Thanks for inviting me so much and keep the conversation going. This is awesome.
Oh yeah. And this ain't the last y'all heard of her, man. We keep her. We gonna keep her on standby when we need her. Most definitely, when we need that legal perspective, that's who we gonna go to. Straight up. So, with that being said, this is your boy, Comedic Energy.
It's your girl, Sean. Go on.
Man.
I think Golden was trying to take my name, y'all.
Copyright. It's your boy, Quay, by the way, y'all.
It's on you, see? You go ahead and say your name.
Oh. And it's Ciara signing out.
All right, peace out, peoples. Peace. This show was produced by Livewire Sound and Entertainment. If you're looking to rent premium sound equipment for your next concert or podcast at a low price, go to www.livewiresoundent.com.